Hey, what's up, Ryan?
How are you?
Awesome. Cool. Well, I appreciate you hopping on with me today. So I have so many things I want to ask you. I'm just already recording. Is it cool if we just jump right into this whole thing?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, cool. Somehow we became friends on Facebook. I'm not really sure how. I think I just add like every lawyer that I see on Facebook. And I started seeing this guy with big spacers and neck tattoos and all that type of stuff giving out legal advice. What's funny is that I do a lot of marketing for lawyers. I talk to lawyers all the time and I'm like, just provide value, just provide value, just provide value. And it doesn't matter if you're professional because people are like, should I wear a tie? Should I wear a jacket? Like, you're like the absolute complete opposite of that spectrum, right? You're not what a typical lawyer looks like. So I'm so curious to hear about your experience and how you're growing your law firm and how you're basically breaking all the rules of what people think a lawyer should be. Can you kind of talk to me a little bit about maybe how they feel about professionalism and maybe what your take on that is and kind of how it's affected you over the last couple of years as you've been running your firm?
Yeah, Andy, it's a really, really, really good question. I wonder about it. I wonder about what the right answer is, if there is a right answer, or why there is a right answer. Because, yeah, you do see from movies and shows to actual practicing attorneys, like the standard decorum is always business casual, but never like how I'm dressed right now, or probably not how you're dressed right now. I wonder why that is, and I wonder if it's a breakable paradigm. For me, it has been, but it's also like come at the cost of a ton of like flack. Bunch of people talking smack on social media is like, you
Yeah.
don't look professional. We would never use you. Like, you don't instill confidence. And other people push back against that on social media in the comments. I don't engage. I don't engage anymore. I've completely jettisoned like trying to look the part. And I think I've been able to do that because I've been able to do it. Right. Like as I've gotten clients and been successful, I started like peeling back formality more and more and more and more. So I think like success bred confidence, bred authenticity. And part of it was like I was doomed from the beginning. Like I had these big ears and I had several tattoos and I had these piercings and I'm really attached to all of them. Like really, really like I don't want to take them out. I
Yeah.
think I can do it just as is. I think I told you this before. My thing is like, look, if I can open my mouth and add value in 7 seconds, doesn't matter what I'm wearing, right?
Right.
If the client, and I think the client determines that, like, are you adding value or not? And I think it is 7 seconds. I think you've got like really narrow window, and then you can do whatever you want as long as you show that you're competent.
I wear a t-shirt. Like this is all I wear. And the reason I wear a t-shirt is because I don't want to wear anything else. This is comfort, I'm working. This is comfortable for me.
Yeah.
And somebody once left me a comment like, why would I listen to a guy wearing a t-shirt about my marketing? And it's funny because I didn't even have to answer. Like 27 lawyers right after that were like, oh, well, I listened to Andy and he gave me, I've doubled my law firm, I've all this type of stuff, get so many clients. He could wear pajamas for all I care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you make a really good point is that once you get past that appearance thing, as long as you're giving value, that's all that really matters. You know what I mean? The people that want like this like person who's going to wear a suit and all that type of stuff, like for me, I don't want to deal with those clients anyway. I want clients that are just going to basically kind of just be like, easygoing, down to earth. And I find that by dressing the part and acting a certain way, that's what I get. Do you find that as well, that kind of you actually repel the clients that you don't want while bringing closer the people that you do?
I think yes, but I think the caveat is like I work for myself, right? I
Mhm.
don't work for a big law firm downtown with tons of corporate clients. My clients are like, John and Jill Smith who are getting divorced and blah 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 blah, like small business, small estate planning, small, right? So I can
Yeah.
reach the people. But what if I wanted to play with like big M&A people in a big corporate context,
Hmm.
which is intriguing to me? Like then would I have to dress the part, or could I still just enter the room in 7 seconds with the gold, and then I earn my VIP badge and I can do whatever I want?
Hmm.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Uh, right. But people, like, it's a question of like, why do people wear suits? Like, why does the president wear a suit? Why does the vice president wear a suit? What would happen if we had a president or a vice president? Maybe you're right. Maybe all they have to do is add value and people don't care what they wear.
Hmm.
But there's still this big, like, historical precedent to dressing up and like wearing a suit and a tie. So, like, short answer is, do I self-select cool clients because I dress authentically? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Interesting. Okay. Would you say that, well, let me ask you a question. Cause obviously you said if you want to do big M&A and all that type of stuff, like, would you say that you're living kind of the way that you like, is your law firm providing kind of the lifestyle that you want, right? Because like I talk to a lot of people and they have really successful law firms, but they also work 80 hours a week and they hate their lives. Versus, I talk to other lawyers who don't ever wear a tie. They work from home, they do what they want to do, and ultimately they're much, much happier. So how do you feel in that regard?
Yeah. I'm in the camp that I work like half time, right? I
Mhm.
work from home. So lifestyle by choice, lifestyle is there. Do I want to work 80 hours in a big office building? I don't know. It's like the grass is greener on the other side, right? There's
Mhm.
something exciting about going to a corporate board meeting and advising on a anti takeover tactics that I don't participate in. That's intriguing to me. But
Mhm.
on the other hand, you're right. I can leave whenever I want. I don't know. It's a question of like, presumably you're familiar with Gary Vee, right?
Yeah,
And he takes, you
absolutely.
can just wear whatever you want,
Yeah.
say whatever you want, just make a ton of content. And I
Mhm.
appreciate that. And he's a marketing guy, so I guess it works. But there's also like guys in niche spaces, particularly so I'm interested in M&A, right? So who always wear suit and ties.
Mhm.
They're like leaders in the thought space and they always wear suit and ties. I don't know why, for credibility. They're doing big deals. They're solo guys. He could wear whatever he wants. I guess I'll name him. His name is Kyle Malian. And I haven't talked to him about this, but I think the reason he's doing that is because he wants to project wealth and success.
Yeah.
And he wants to like project it to himself and project it to others and kind of be in that clean business mindset. But
Mhm.
but what about Gary Vee? Like, what's his mindset? Like, I don't give a fuck. This is me. Look at my results. I find that slightly more compelling, so that's what I do.
Well, I think that at the end of the day, it's all about value. So, I've seen you post some things on Facebook, and I'm not sure if you use other platforms also. We're friends on Facebook. And it's typically, from what I've seen, you do a lot of kind of ask me anything type questions, like I'm a lawyer, ask me anything. How has that worked for you in terms of getting clients? Like, is that something that's actually worked for you where people will ask you questions and ultimately you get retained from that?
So somebody messaged me today and they were like, "Hey man, I saw you a couple years ago on some like Facebook live thing and I remembered you because of your recognizable glasses." And I just like scrolled through things looking for you to see if I could find you,
Yeah.
or you look weird, and then they called me and asked me a question. It happens all the time and I think it's because, so yeah, it's like it's like the single stream of clients is
Hmm.
like social media, live Q&As. And then it's like months to years later that people will be like, "Oh yeah, there's that one dude who was talking about this thing, and
Hmm.
now I have a question." So is your angle like all you have to do is be visible and add value?
I mean, that's what I do. I'm not particularly great on camera. I just help people solve problems. And I see a lot of lawyers doing that. And that's why I was curious if that works for you as well. I mean, I have a lot of clients that literally they just provide value, provide value, provide value. And ultimately, someone shares the video and somebody sees it and then they get hired from it.
Yeah, and it's not, the value is not behind a paywall, right? Like
Oh,
that's,
no, no, no. It's free, completely free, 100% free.
yeah. I think that's the go-to. I think that's the go-to, which is it's an interesting philosophy. Like you're gonna put out all this value at no charge.
Hmm.
Why? Right? Like why not try and monetize the value, make it a course, make it a funnel, blah 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 blah. But I think you're right. I think you're creating future clients basically, and goodwill, which is like basically the same thing as future clients.
Well, I think it comes down to doing something different than everyone else is doing. Most people, their natural inclination is to say, "Oh, you want to know all these things? I'm going to charge you for that," right? But all of your ideal clients, they have all these questions because you know this stuff. Like you do family law, and it sounds like you do intellectual property and a few other things. And this stuff is just commonplace to you. But someone who's just served divorce papers, someone who's going through a child custody issue, someone who's dealing with paternity, someone who has like their trademark being infringed, like they don't know what the answers to these questions are. So if you can, and most people don't like lawyers, really. I mean, at the end of the day, I say nobody likes lawyers until they need a lawyer. If you can basically take people that have all these questions and all these problems and help them solve the problem, my theory, which has been true so far, is that if you help people solve enough small problems, they're eventually going to hire you for the bigger problem. Because most people, like, you can answer every question about divorce in the world, but that doesn't qualify somebody to handle their divorce or to be confident enough that when they go through the divorce, they're going to get the right amount of child support, that they're going to get custody of their kids, they're not going to get their equal share, all that type of stuff, right? So what I think it does, rather than actually like informing people to the point where they can go do it themselves. And let's be honest, if you have somebody that does it themselves, that wants to do it themselves, that's probably not the client that you want anyway, right?
Right.
So what it does is it gives them the confidence that you know what you're talking about. And then they're like, oh, well, I know, like, and trust this person. Why would I go hire somebody else? I'm just going to hire the guy that I've been watching the videos on, or the girl that I've been watching the videos on. Has that been your experience?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And it's like totally counterintuitive because like in middle school and high school, you dress up when you have to give a speech, or like you like clear your throat and like make sure everything's clean. I don't think it's like so interesting. All people need to do is just see you and see you
Mm-hmm.
speaking about the thing. Two things. One, like in this lawyer group that I'm a part of, like young lawyers who meet once or twice a month to just like chat and be friends. And one of them this past week was saying that this one lawyer guy writes like endless blog posts, and just to the point where like you Google anything, where I'm in Minnesota, you Google
Mm-hmm.
anything like Minnesota family law and then your issue, this guy's blog is like first page on Google rank, to the point where like lawyers use him. He wrote these posts like 10 years ago and he's still getting residual clients.
Yeah.
And it's just because he's dominated the space with free information. So I think that substantiates the point that like, yeah, be visible, add value, and it will all come back to you. Like he probably spent a ton of time, and that probably works for him. He's probably like a blog guy, likes to write,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, but the super interesting thing I think is that it doesn't matter what you look like, or where you
Yeah.
are, or what if there's a green light or a sound or lighting or like whatever, it doesn't matter. I think that's the
Yeah.
interesting point.
Well, it's funny because I don't know how old you are. I'm 39. And I remember growing up, I always heard from my parents, like, oh, don't get any tattoos, or if you get tattoos, get them where you can cover them up, and don't get any crazy piercings. And it's funny, the first week that I went away to college, I came back and I had blue hair and an eyebrow ring. Right. So like, my mom freaked out about that. But I've never gotten any tattoos or anything like that. I'm not anti-tattoo. I just haven't found anything that I look at myself and I look at it and I say, do I want this on my body in 20 years? And if the answer is like, I'm not sure, then I don't do it. But I
Yeah.
actually am starting to like, I think I am going to get my first tattoo here. But part of it always was in the back of my head, like, well, I don't know why. And I know that it's about value, but I was still like, well, I don't know, I'm going to come across a professional. But the reality is you look around, everybody has freaking tattoos. You know what I mean? Like having
Yeah.
full sleeves is not a rare, uncommon thing anymore. Like even like neck tattoos are like pretty common now. You know what I mean? Whereas even like 10 years ago, that was almost taboo, So it's kind of like coming around. And that's why I was saying, like, somebody that's like really into that culture and all that type of stuff, like they would probably be more attracted to you than the typical person in a suit, just because of the fact that you look like them, you're like them. You know what I mean? And have you seen that happen?
I mean, the people that contact me don't have neck tattoos.
Well, maybe
Right?
not neck tattoos,
It's
but I
not
mean
like
more
the
tattoos, I guess. Like,
No, I don't think so. I think
oh,
I think the
interesting.
common denominator that breaks the ice is like you're adding value.
Yeah.
And they're like, I
Okay.
need value. Because I think at a certain point, like your toilet's leaking and you need somebody to come and fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, who do I call? I saw this guy. And I think you're like, he has a neck tattoo or he has pink hair, as long
Mhm.
as he fixes the toilet. And
Yeah.
like I resonated with, I think the thing about it not mattering is that it doesn't matter, so that when all people have to do is like sense that you're a good person,
Mhm.
right? Like they know, like, and trust you. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with, I think this is really interesting. That doesn't have anything to do with the tattoo. Because
Yeah.
when I see people, I'm like, oh, that dude has a tattoo. That dude, like, I notice and judge and critique the hell out of people's appearances. I'm like, that's weird. But I think the thing is, in a consumer context, as the consumer, you're selfish. You just want your problem solved. Who can solve my
Interesting.
problem?
Yeah. So that's very interesting, because I would have thought, and that's why I want to ask you these questions, because I would have thought that you would attract more people that are kind of like that. So that's super interesting. Do you find the bars higher when you're meeting people the first time, or is it basically as soon as you just provide value, you're good? Like the bar is higher for them to kind of trust you enough to hire you?
Well, I don't meet people in person,
Okay.
like, period. So
Mhm.
everything's mediated by like this kind of interaction. I also like put out a ton of personal content, basically like confessionary diary entries. Like today,
Mhm.
like yesterday, I wrote something like, I gained some weight in the last month because I was stress eating chocolate chip cookies. And like I did it in like an authentic way. Like it's
Yeah.
really bothering me. Like now I have to like work out more to like lose the weight. Like
Yeah.
it's annoying. I'm dealing with anxiety with this therapist. So I put out personal content, and I do that like because I love doing it. But I also
Yeah.
think it makes it so that like people don't have to call bullshit on me because I'm calling bullshit on myself, which I think is really dangerous and frightening and
Mhm.
scary, but I think it also just worked for me.
You know, in public persona, most people don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to put their dirty laundry out there. They want everything to be perfect. It's like on social media. You can look on social media and there's these people that have their lives are like so perfect on social media. And I happen to know for a fact that your life is not like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
so I think that it's actually refreshing that when somebody's actually putting out things that aren't all perfect and plastic and, and rosy on social media, I think that people relate to that because nobody's perfect. And there's lots of people also that gained weight in the last 30 days. And there's lots of people dealing with anxiety, especially in your line of work. When you have somebody that's actually talking about that stuff, that's way more relatable than anything. I know that when I put videos out and like I'll have like my dog running around the background or my kids running around the background or things like that, those imperfections, those are the things that actually like endear people to me more. That actually will ask me, hey, what kind of dog do you have? And all this type of stuff. So I
That's
think there's
super
a really good
interesting.
lesson in that.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
It's
would
it's
advise people from a marketing standpoint to be like, embrace you know, the barking dog in the background or
Oh,
whatever.
absolutely. 100%. Yeah. So like I don't have it right now. I have this picture. I think it's Chicago. I don't know. I got it from IKEA. It looks cool. But I used to have a Lionel Messi jersey. Leo Messi, the soccer player,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I used to have
yeah.
a Leo Messi soccer jersey right behind me. It's autographed. My wife got it for me for Hanukkah one year. I would get so many comments about Leo Messi, about soccer, about Cristiano Ronaldo, because there's the big rivalry between those two. And that made people, I mean, that was like a conversation starter. People felt close to me because of that stuff. Yeah, anytime you can be vulnerable and talk about real stuff, the same stuff that other people are also going through, because like, look, when people come to you, especially if they're going through a family law issue, they're not in a great place. Like very rarely, I would imagine, very rarely are they actually in a really great place.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
you can show that you're having, having issues, but you can show that you are a real person also, and that you also get stressed, and you also, have these, you're also human, it makes people much more attracted to you. It's really interesting.
It is interesting. So can
Mhm.
I ask you, you stylize yourself as a marketer for lawyers, right? Like get
Yeah.
more clients kind of thing?
Yeah. So I own an agency, but basically what I do is what I always tell when people, I introduce myself, people say, what do you do? I say, I help lawyers get more freedom. And basically what that means is I help them make more money, but money is not happiness. Money allows you to buy your time back and gives you options, and time plus options is freedom. Right. So I also own an agency and all that type of stuff, but I don't pitch any of that in this. So what I do though, is I just create tons and tons of content teaching lawyers how to ultimately get more freedom, whether that's how to get more reviews, how to get more clients, how to hire better, how to do management of their law firm, all those types of things, because all of it is going towards the end result.
It sounds like way it's I don't want to say it sounds way more gratifying, but it does kind of sound way more gratifying than being a lawyer because it's not adversarial. Like there's no enemy. You're just like, let me help you be better
Yeah.
and live better.
So basically, in any movement, you need three things, right? You need an attractive character, right? Which is not really like, I'm not saying I'm attractive, but it's like somebody that draws people in. Like Donald Trump is considered an attractive character, whether you like him or hate him. He's a
Yeah.
group that people are attracted, or he's a person people are attracted to, right? And then you need a future-based cause, which is where are we going? Where is this attractive character leading people to, right? So for me, I'm leading people to living better lives, having more time with their families, being able to coach little league and all that type of stuff, and having just freedom. And then you always need a new opportunity. So for us, the new opportunity is that you start taking control of this yourself, rather than relying on marketing companies and all these people to kind of get you there. We're going to teach you how to take control of it so that you can actually do it yourself. There's a big marketing philosophy behind the whole thing, but part of that attractive character is vulnerability and showing your weaknesses and showing your not just your highs, but also your lows. And the lows are more important than the highs, because somebody told me once, the only reason we'll celebrate people's wins is because we've seen all their losses. Nobody
Super
loves
interesting.
perfect people. Nobody, what do we call perfect people in school? Goody two shoes, right? Nobody loves perfect people. They love real people.
When you work with an attorney, like for instance, there's an attorney in this attorney group that I'm part of who just went solo. And I was kind
Okay.
of like working with like sharing my experiences and blah, 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 blah. But she's having a hard time. First of all, she never had Facebook
Mm.
beforehand, right? Because she valued privacy and whatever. So if you were to theoretically work with her as a client, would it be a one-time intensive thing, do X, Y, and Z, or is it ongoing, or is it depend on the client, or is there like a program, like do this as a baseline kind of thing?
Yeah. So really what it comes down to is it comes down to the big picture, right? So we look at where do you want to be in 3 years, right? So where okay, you're here and you want to be here in 3 years, right? Like we typically find there's three things that people want. One is I want to make more money, work less, and grow my law firm in the process, right? The second thing is I want to scale my law firm to be the biggest I want to dominate my market. And the third is I want to grow my law firm, sell it, and retire. Depending
Same.
on what they want, and it sounds like she just went solo, so she's not looking to retire right now, right? But what I found is most lawyers, like 90% of lawyers, want that business, that law firm that runs itself, that allows them to do what they want to do. So they're not working 80 hours a week, but they also want to make more money and have more freedom, right? So we kind of look at, okay, what does that look like, right? And we put together a 3-year plan. And then we break that 3-year plan into 3 annual plans. And then we break those annual plans into quarterly plans. And we call them quarterly boulders, basically. It's based off the book Traction. But another big part of it is hiring people to do the work, right? Hiring, employees and support staff and other attorneys that, can handle the casework and all that type of stuff. That's what we found is that that's really the prescription, is that it's a 3-year plan. It's not, look, you didn't become a lawyer overnight. It took you undergrad and then 3 years of law school, and then you had to pass the bar. And then even then, you probably weren't even that great of a lawyer when you started. You know what I mean? So it's like the reason that this works is because of the fact that it's actually a step-by-step plan that gets you through 3 years. So you know exactly where you need to be. And then we combine that with, done for you services and stuff like that. But it's all based on the principles of what I talk about for free anyway.
Yeah. How do you acquire? Because I see you online. Do
Okay.
you do anything else other than online?
Mostly online, but we're going to start doing direct mail and things like that. We do some direct mail if we have your address, but we're actually going to start mining addresses and everything. What it comes down to is it comes down to knowing your customer. I think about this, and like we do a lot of live events and a lot of webinars and things like that. But I think back, I'm very successful. We run an 8-figure business, multi 8-figure business, and I'm like, do I sit down and watch webinars with a really successful? Like I haven't sat on a webinar for years. So why would my ideal clients, people who are running $5 million, $10 million, $20 million law firms, why would they have the time to sit down on a webinar, And it's just marketing 101 that, of course we tell our clients, well, go where your ideal clients are. And we're kind of breaking our own rules. So we're kind of trying to course correct, and not that we're doing fantastic. So it's not that we really have to course correct, but we're trying to kind of steer more in the direction of following that advice a little bit more to the T. You know what I mean?
Well, it's super interesting because like as you're talking, I'm just like, man, there's so many attorneys. Okay, a couple things. One, I think attorneys generally just neglect marketing. I don't know why,
yeah.
right? The biggest law firms in town often will have horrific social media, no Google reviews, and yet they'll be like a behemoth of a law firm. That's like why, right? They're missing all the low-hanging fruit. It seems just ridiculous. And anecdotally, I know it to be true. Like the big titan lawyers, the veterans, the big people, it's like they golf, yes, and they network, yes, but there's like no marketing presence. They're still
Yeah.
super successful. But also, I think what's interesting about what you've been saying is that while it's all about marketing, it's also like the overlap is also like personal coaching and development, because you're asking these questions about goals and you're stating things about authenticity and like, hey, did you know that like people like the perfect person, nobody wants to hear about the perfect person, blah 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 blah, which is also like giving you permission to be, hey dude, like if you gain 5 pounds, which I actually did gain 5 pounds because of the last month, like people, that's fine. Like people like that. People will like connect with you. It's fine. Embrace it, share it, whatever. Do more kettlebell swings. That's like heart strength therapy, whatever. Right. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that like you could brand yourself as a marketer, revenue, what was it? 80% of people double the revenue, or average person gets 81% increase.
Yeah. Our average client increases by 81%.
But also there's like these collateral benefits of like that you mentioned, more time to do whatever you want. But I also think there's like who am I? What do I stand for? Is it okay to be me? Do I have to like pretend to be somebody different? Those are like huge psychological pieces of furniture in the living room of like our brain.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucks trying to be someone that you're not also,
It does suck that you're
it's
trying
way
to
easier to just be yourself,
yeah.
like,
And so if you can like make that, it's like okay to be yourself, like that's whatever. But if you can be like, hey, it's actually more profitable
Hmm.
for you to be yourself. That's like
Yeah,
a,
that's a good line. I'm going to write that down. More
I mean,
profitable to be yourself.
and that's insane. I mean, it's like, so like you want to be the like if you're a black and white cow or brown cow, nobody's gonna notice you because it's
Yeah.
everybody around you is black and white or brown or whatever color cows are. But if you're purple and somebody goes by and is like, holy shit, there's a purple cow, then people notice you. And
Yeah.
so that is like it's advantageous to you to be distinguishable and to have your niche, blah, 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 blah. Another way of saying like it's okay to be different. But I think your point is like it's not just okay, which is feel good in psychology. It
Mm.
actually it's actually more profitable, which is
Yeah.
hella interesting.
I call it a pattern interrupt, actually. I mean, like, you picture like, imagine you're like scrolling through just a picture of lawyers, right? And there's the usual suspects, and then you get to you, right? That's totally different. That's like not what you're expecting to see. It's a pattern interrupt, right? Like if you want to prove that you're different, you've actually got to do something different, and yeah, it's absolutely true. I mean, it's funny. You were talking about how there's some lawyers who, the big ones, they have bad marketing, like they don't have social media, they don't have reviews, but they do a ton of networking, right? That's how they get all their stuff, right? That's their form of networking. So I want to create content and do all that stuff. Other people want to do SEO. The reality is that all marketing works if you do it well. You can be the world's most amazing networker, never get a single Google review, never not even have a website, and you can have a thriving law firm. Or you could just dominate social media, never go to a single networking event, and have a thriving law firm. It's like there's so many options now. The biggest misconception I think I see is that there's a lot of lawyers who think that there's a correlation with being a good lawyer and getting paid for it. But the reality is that there's no correlation with that. There's a direct correlation, however, with being good at marketing your law firm and getting paid for it.
Maybe the last thing I'll say, the thing that I've been super interested in lately is the mental health of lawyers.
Yeah.
Like I'm a sober person, wasn't out, so I drank too much and I've stopped drinking like 3.5 years ago or whatever. Best decision I ever made. And I've also, like, a therapist recently said that I have an anxiety disorder, and then I've shared that with some lawyers, and lawyers are like, yeah, what lawyer doesn't have an anxiety disorder, like in this
Join the
profession,
club.
right? I appreciate that, like, to know that there's some like camaraderie, like this is a kind of in this lawyer group too. There's a lot of sharing about like how stressful the profession is and how some people had to take some time off because of anxiety attacks and panic attacks. And I've been like, man, damn, like life is too short. Like we only have our kids for so long. Like
Yeah.
you only have your health. So I've been really interested lately. I know this is not on topic with marketing, but it kind of is. I've been really interested in like there's this profession of people who are like these sharks in these aggressive suits with like all these buried mental health problems. And there's like groups, lawyers, concerned for lawyers, and this, that, and the other thing. But part of what I was interested in when you were first talking is like, damn, he's really giving you permission to like kind of take a deep breath and be like, look, it's okay to be me, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And I think that has like that may sound super cheesy and lame. And I think in many populations it might be, but in a stressed profession, super stressed, super high strung, super everything, I think there's huge mental health benefits.
I think that it all comes down to the core, like kind of how you look at yourself overall. Like if you look at yourself as someone who's basically going to provide the value to help people, and basically like I look at myself as trying to serve others first, right? And when I try to serve others first, I think, okay, if I, regardless of what I'm doing, is this serving other people? Is this helping other people? When you look at everything in life that way, because I believe that whatever you put out, like it's always going to come back to you. You're never gonna get hurt by helping other people. If you need to share your story about alcoholism, if you need to share your story about anxiety, all that type of stuff, what that's going to do is it's going to help other people, because other people are going to say, oh, wait, I'm not alone. I'm not just like that. Just like you felt you had anxiety and you heard from other people and you're in that lawyer group, and you see, oh, wait, there's other lawyers like this. This is normal. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Well, it extends to your clients also. You can say, look, I've been like you. And remember what I said before, it's like the attractive care. It's always us versus them, right? So if you can make yourself on their side and they can see that they're just like you, then now you're on their team. And it's you and them versus whoever else they're going against. And that's what's going to indoctrinate them to you and make them it's going to pull them to you like a magnet,
That's where I think the personal coaching angle or the like therapy angle is, because that's super scary. right? To lean into that. Like, yeah, I think you see it clearly because you're like, oh, this will play out well. Like this will psychologically, this will work for you. But from the like disclosing person side, you're like, oh shit, this is scary, right? Like once it's out, it's out. So your MO to attorneys is like, just do you and do it in a way that's authentic to you. But that's one of your.
That's one. Yeah, that's a piece of a bigger puzzle. Yeah. But I don't. Yeah, I would never tell anybody to be inauthentic.
And you think for you that there's enough attorneys who are like, there's enough attorneys for you to market to who are afraid to be themselves, you think? Like in terms of attire and, well, let's just say just attire.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of attorneys that are too in there. I mean, look, attorneys are taught to analyze every single piece of every single thing, right?
Yeah,
and my motto is done is better than perfect, right? Yep. So like, I'm just like, just put it out there. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? And yeah, and a lot of times like attorneys are like, well, I don't want to put videos out on social media because my friends and my family will judge me or whatever, you know? Like, so there's a lot of things, or I don't think I'm going to look professional if I'm out there on social media begging for clients. And I'm like, well, first of all, you're not begging for clients. Like, have you ever got on social media once and be like, please hire me, please? Like, I guarantee you've never done that. You know what I mean?
No, but the feeling. But the feeling is that you're out there hustling. You're out there grinding because you know in your mind what you're doing. You're out there.
You know what you're doing, but people don't know what you're doing. That's the thing. If you really just go out there and you say, hey, I'm an attorney. I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live. You got any questions? Let me know. There's no motive there. You know, there's no alternative motive there. It's basically just out there answering questions. And people are like super grateful for that. I've seen people that, you know, they get involved with like MLMs and then all they do is just post about their MLMs all day. And that's super annoying, right? Super annoying. And I think that that's what people don't want to be. And the difference is that you're not doing that because you're giving advice and you're helping people and you're basically saying, hey, got any questions? I'll answer them for you. You know, you're not saying hire my law firm, hire my law firm, hire my law firm, because that's when you get super annoying. And that's when it seems desperate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, Ryan, thank you for hopping on here. This has been really interesting.
And it's interesting for me too, with respect to these other attorneys in my group. And also I work with these big players that I was talking to. I kind of want to broach the subject with them now and be like, hey guys, like you don't have a online footprint. Like, is that a thing for you? Do you care? Is it like old school? Because these are guys they're not like 90, they're like 55 in the stride of their career, just leading these firms.
Yeah.
Presumably they would like all of the things that you talked about, more time, more money, more freedom and flexibility. I'm kind of interested to like step into the shoes of your job and be like, hey, there's this modality where you can like potentially do that, right? By being basically more visible.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a world right now that, I mean, like what a time to be alive, you know? Like there's even 10 years ago, there's no way that like if COVID would have happened 10 years ago, like we would have been screwed, you know? Like now there's Zoom and there's social media. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can make money now, you know? It's like, it's insane. And you don't even have to leave your house. Like you said, you don't meet with people in person. I don't meet with people in person. I sit here and I do my videos and then I go play basketball with my son for a while. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing, you know, and there's no excuse that people can't do it other than the fact that they're just in their own head. And once they get out of it, once they realize that they'll actually be much more likable by showing their insecurities and showing their flaws rather than trying to be perfect all the time, then it makes life so much easier.
I'll keep in touch, man. This was fun.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks a lot, man. We'll talk to you soon.
See you later. Thanks, Andy.